What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's a post-match pint in Malone's in Glasgow after Celtic 3, Rangers 0, and I've got Kenny and what's your name again? Callum is back with us, mate. I'll give the first word to you on your big return. What did you make of that today?
Brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. There's so many words and superlatives that I could say about how good today was, but let me just give a quick shout out to Chris in Canada. See the support of following Celtic, and to anybody that's watching this video who lives abroad, the difficulty of getting up at extreme hours to follow Celtic. I've just done it for 8 months and it's tough. It is tough. So well done to everybody that does that. There's so much that's happened in 8 months. My last game was against Rangers, we beat them 2-1, and now this one, and in that time we've done so much.
Some things never change, mate.
Some things never genuinely change. The weather is one and beating Rangers is two. Honestly, like a perfect day. I actually went into the game feeling quite confident. I think everybody was kind of on the same boat, but you still get a little bit nervous because it's still a Celtic Rangers game. Anything can happen. But look, we were very professional, and in the end it was actually quite easy. It was just another run-of-the-mill kind of SPFL game. I didn't think Rangers were great. I didn't think they were actually bad either. I kind of thought they were in the middle. I just thought we were on another level. We're obviously the best team in this country by a massive bit. And I'd probably say the last time that I was on to now, the gulf is probably bigger. And I know people might say that's reactionary because we've won 3-0, but the games last year were actually a little bit closer. Even though Celtic had all the ball, they were still a little bit tight at times, and you could almost feel it in the stadium. But 2-0 up at half time, it was almost the Gio days. Like, do you know what I mean? Back in those days when he's 3-0, 4-0 down. It was kind of like a little bit like that. So, all in all, positive. Buzzing to be back. Watching Celtic actually in the flesh was amazing. Like, it's almost like my first time walking up the steps. Incredible. Like, you never ever miss that feeling. And it's just like the euphoria of watching Celtic win and beating obviously Rangers is nothing that anybody can compare to. So brilliant, mate.
Brilliant. Kenny, getting into the game, everything was so stacked in our favour, and there's always a bit in the back of your mind that thinks, is it too good to be true? Like how well we're playing, how much heavy favourites we are for the game. But you look at that first 5-10 minutes and Rangers came out, pressed us, and maybe a wee bit of nerves in the team in the first 5-10 minutes trying to play out through the press. But I thought the first time we did it, really nice combination play, broke through the press, scored the disallowed goal. I thought that was the thing that really calmed everybody down, and then after that we saw the team that we've been watching so far this season were really dominant for the rest of that first half.
I mean, these games are always a pivotal games, right? Celtic Rangers. I thought this actually carried a little bit extra in that Rangers are in a bit of disarray for multiple reasons. We're coming into a really nice groove under Brendan Rodgers. If we can sink a really dismissive, heavy victory into them today, it really sends them into a bit of a spiral that could work deeper into the season than even if they got a point or if they're somehow to get a win, it can reverse things. It doesn't mean you can go out and execute it though. It's one thing having that opportunity, it's another thing executing it. It was an absolute schooling in every aspect of the game, from technical ability, from desire, from tactical aptitude of manager, and above all, just togetherness. From start to finish, we just completely outclassed them. The first 5-10 minutes, you're right, they're pressing us high, and that's fine. We did feel a bit uncomfortable, but to do that in a controlled way, it means you need to handle a counter-attack. They couldn't handle the counter-attack. They're pressing us high, but they're leaving themselves very vulnerable at the back. And within 15 minutes we had the ball in the net 2 times. Okay, one was disallowed for what seemed like an almost absurd offside decision. But we were allowing them possession. We were allowing John Souttar to come out with the ball because we know that safe possession, as soon as they put the ball into the middle of the park, we would engage because we knew we were on a different level. Bernardo is harassing them all over the park. As soon as he gets into the centre circle, it's a completely different animal for them. And I thought Rodgers was excellent, just the way he set up the team, had the patience to ride out that early pressure and just stick to his principles. And once we get going, the speed out wide just on the ground is superb. The speed of the ball through the middle is superb. Just the immaculate way in which McGregor, Hatate and Bernardo can handle the ball in tight conditions. Rangers can't do that. They can't even get near to that. And a combination of that skill and the speed out wide just meant they had no chance. Look at our third goal, Kyogo, running 70 yards or something to recover the ball at our own centre-half area. Rangers' central midfielders, when they lost the ball, could barely jog back. That is the difference in part between the two sides. So it was a really dominating, stamp your authority all over it, style victory, and one that I think is going to serve us well for the rest of the season. Delighted with what I saw.
Callum Kenny talks, one of the things he mentioned there was the togetherness, and I think collectively the way the team's playing, the intensity of everybody is clear for you to see, and I think the fullbacks are a good representation of that. They're coming inside a bit more in the build-up, I think, this season, but I thought the intensity and the way they were biting into tackles, but also the running, particularly Alistair Johnston, and he's pivotal in the first goal, makes that run to byline. I think it's almost like an underlap in it inside. Does he take the throw in? And he does so well. He does so well to catch it. Bursa got to catch it before he goes out. A nice cutback. Kyogo's made a clever run to the front post. And who's there to finish it? Daizen Maeda in the middle.
Terrorising Tavernier again, and I love watching that. It's like one of the movies. I can just watch it over and over and over again, and I will, because there's so many reels of that happening. But first, when I was going up to the stadium, I'm starting to look at the teams, and I looked at the Rangers team, and the Rangers team has changed from last week, because there was this big, massive euphoria of beating Ross County 6-0.
That was the best result Rangers have had for 4 years.
As if they had studied some big European giant. So when I had seen that, I thought, right, just need to calm down a wee bit here. Like, they're a bit of a different animal to Ross County to come to Celtic Park. So I'm looking at the team, and I had noticed that they took Lawrence out of the team and they put Sterling in. So they've got a Sterling, Barron, Diamande as a free. Now look, that's not to make Rangers win the game, it's simply to try and stop the free of midfield. But what Celtic's midfield's been like for so many years, if you lose one player in Matt O'Reilly, you've got another one to step in. It's a system. It's not individual player quality that wins you games. It's a system. Kenny spoke about it. Look at how nice of football that we're playing. Look at the movements. Look at the pressing that we're doing. There's obviously an identity. That's the biggest thing about the two clubs. We have such a clear identity, and Clermont's just not got one. Whereas a year down the line, or he's a year down the line, sorry, and they don't have one. And this is why they're losing games, not 2-1, they're losing them 3-0 now, is because they're getting caught out. We are progressing as they're actually deteriorating. That's the reality. People, if you're a Rangers fan, you're watching this, so good luck. But your team's not very good, and that comes from the manager. He said, I think it was Diamande on McGregor, and I've heard this all the time. Me and my mates talk about it. Oh, we'll stick Diamande on McGregor because he controls the game.
They've been sticking somebody on McGregor for about 10 years.
Mate, exactly. I just don't understand it. McGregor's on a level on his own, right? I'm not saying he's a Messi or Ronaldo, nowhere near a Pirlo or anybody like that, but he's good enough for this country. Rangers don't have anybody good enough. Stick 3 players on him, you might get near him, but then that creates space. Diamande first 20 minutes was stuck tight on him, and then it would be Sterling. But see, McGregor was so clever because he actually dropped in with Carter Vickers and Scales in the middle, and then allowed that space that he had vacated for Hatate, Bernardo. Kenny spoke about it. Paulo Bernardo was brilliant because he recognised the space to get into, which then dragged Connor Barron, dragged him into areas that he didn't want to go in. Then it allowed Kyogo to drop in with our 2 wingers pressing so high. Then Rangers centre-backs are going, right, am I chasing Kyogo, am I not? You could see the identity, what Celtic were trying to do. And that's where it comes. The first one, Johnson takes the throw in, Bernardo takes a great wee touch, gives it back, then they move. Johnson then makes, as you say, that run where Bernardo plays such a good ball because it's actually really difficult. It's on the half bounce and he almost floats it, almost like when it's landing it will slow down when it lands. Just goes, Johnson makes a brilliant way to get to it. He just cuts it back. Proper, I think he was sliding back to Amsterdam. Honestly, where was he going? And then you've got Suter. Oh my, I think he was nearly injured with him slicing or not. And then you get great Tav, Captain Tav, the Hall of Famer, the Hall of Shamer, man. Honestly, it's embarrassing. Maeda's just like peekaboo and just gets in. And then Butland's Super Jack Butland in goal, they say. My God, it's embarrassing.
The problem today was he wasn't in the goal.
He tries to palm it, I think, to out, and he gets it caught and it goes under. But credit to Daizen because he knows where the ball's going to fall. He knows where to be, and he just ends up getting it. And looks just a brilliant day. And it's a good goal after the first goal that's given offside. So marginally tight. You could have went the opposite way and could have been feeling sorry for ourselves. So I thought Rangers were maybe actually the better team the first 10 minutes without actually peppering another goal, but I thought they settled into the game. But as soon as we got that goal that was disallowed, you've seen that we then took control of the game, and that the first goal, but it was the second goal technically, was then coming. You could feel it coming more and more, and eventually we got it just by being brilliant on that pitch and having an identity.
Kenny, the game's actually playing in the background here, the replay. It's just coming up to Kyogo's goal, which we're going to talk about. Hatate's just missed a chance. There was a spell in that first half where it looked like we really could have got 2, 3, 4 goals. But Kyogo's goal, I think Greg Taylor does so well to win it back for us. And seeing the replay back, Kyogo receives the ball almost on the half turn, but was back to goal. And live in the stadium, I could see right down the line that Jack Butland was miles out of position. I think Rangers had obviously had possession. He was towards the right hand side of his goals, and as soon as we won it back, I'm thinking his position is miles off it here. But Kyogo's so aware, and his instinct just to know exactly where to place it, strikes it beautifully, but it's almost like placed with the inside of his foot, perfect weight on it, and Butland's despairing dive can't get anywhere near it, and it's Kyogo's first goal of the season, another brilliant goal in this fixture. I thought it was absolutely superb.
The mark of a great player is when they become alive in big games. We spoke outside in the rain in St Mirren about Kyogo being a bit off form in terms of in front of goal. Looked really sharp, but he's not scored all season. He's squandered some simple chances. We spoke about, does he come back in against Rangers? It wasn't even a question. Of course he comes back in against Rangers. Oh, it's almost irrelevant what his form was like preceding that. And although Jack Butland's made a positional mistake there, he's 30 yards for goal or something. It's not that easy with 60,000 people in the stadium with millions of people watching you all over the world to lace the ball into the bottom corner with that level of calmness, because he had an opportunity to lay it in. I think it was maybe Kuhn on the right hand side. Yeah. That would have been confusing for him, because that seemed like the obvious thing to do. And it wasn't. It was probably not as hard an opportunity as the one he took at Ibrox at the first in the reverse fixture this time last season. Similar distance, right in the corner against Butland. It wasn't dissimilar. But he's worth his weight in gold. I mean, it was really alarming when those Man City rumours sparked up, because if we were to lose him, how do you replace him? You can't. Okay, he's nearly, he's going to be 30 this season. I think he's 29 at the moment. But had somebody like Man City come in and just through misfortune swept him out the club, it would have left us a far inferior team, because you can't replace him. And he's such a lovable character.
That's a goal.
As is evidenced by that cheer.
Man City couldn't afford them.
Well, if you were in charge of the transfer negotiation, I don't think they could afford them, Paul. I'm pretty sure they can afford them. But an incredible... He's become an icon for Celtic, and somebody that we should really treasure.
Aye, a brilliant goal, Callum. Another one to add to the collection for Kyogo. And I thought just in that last 5 minutes in the first that we actually could have got another goal to take it away from them, but it was also important because I think in the added time they gained a bit of possession again. You just want to get in 2-0 at half time. It seems like every game we've played Rangers for the last 18 months we've been 2-0 up at half time. That was the case again today, but getting into the second half, you're just looking to manage the game, because the next goal is so important, and if Rangers get it, it changes the whole complex of the game. They did have a big chance actually. Desser's a big chance early in the second half. In for the left hand side on his right foot, just opens up, but it's right. It's Michael, a really weak finish. But I thought we did well, and we grew in the second half. And then we were able to utilise the bench, which was much stronger today with the new signings on it, and that just helped us maintain control.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I go back to the identity. Rangers changed and chopped and changed during the game. I had noticed it, because they had said, right, go and press, and then you need that recovery time where you can't press. You can't just press a game 90 minutes and expect to win a game at that, because Celtic are good enough just to create those spaces, and you see it. Touching on that, Greg Taylor's brilliant, because he presses. Is it Cherney? He presses right up. Cherney's sitting there as if it's Ross County, hitting brilliant. I've got all the space in the world, and credit to Taylor. He presses him right up, wins the ball. Good footballers, and the highest level footballers, and rumours about Man City, whether how strong they were or not, good footballers sometimes don't need their legs. It's all up in their heads. See if you know where to be. Kyogo's turned, and Kenny says, he's seen Kuhn, and he's maybe thought, I can give that to Kuhn. I don't even think he's thought about Kuhn. He's looked at the goalkeeper and went, I'm beating you already, I'm sticking it round you. And he just almost plays it right round, and he knows that Butland can't get there in time. So good footballers use their brain quicker than their feet. That's where a good footballer steps ahead of just an average footballer. For me, that's why Kyogo is so good, because his brain is quicker than his feet at times. But yeah, it's very easy for Rangers to go up the park and get a lucky goal, a deflection, or like I think it was the last one, went 2-0 up, and Dessers got a header with the 2-1 game. Lundstrom gets sent off, and I remember that, and I was thinking at the same time in the stadium going, no, get to half time 2-0, control the game. But when we came out the second half, you say Dessers got a great chance. That was really the only chance that he's got. Celtic's got a wee while to get back into the game, I thought. But that happens with 2-0, such a dangerous scoreline, and you need the third goal to really kill it. So I thought we settled into the game. But again, like Paulo Bernardo, I thought was brilliant. We forgot to touch about. Hatate had a great chance where he leans so back and it goes right over the bar in the first half. Could have been out of sight. Bernardo, I think in the first half, he twists and turns. It's like Tommy Burns. He just does it, and then he loses all the energy because he's so tired, and he just scuffs it almost into Butland. But he could have been 4-0 up, and nobody could argue that. I'm not being biased because we're Celtic fans. It's the reality of where the two clubs are. We are miles ahead of Rangers. So when I'm going into the second half, I actually felt really calm. I'm not really like that. I'm quite honest. Also, you know me. You've been to games, like you see what I'm like. But I was actually quite calm because I didn't feel like Rangers had a plan of how to break Celtic down. And look, I'm going to give it a massive credit to Liam Scales. I thought he was terrific. I thought he was the best centre back on the pitch because he won every aerial threat against Dessers. Dessers deliberately sat on him to get away from Carter Vickers, but Carter Vickers actually lost the battle with Dessers in the second half. Scales never lost one battle. He was always the man at the back. They had one in the second half where almost he's one-on-one, but he ends up nicking it and kicking it back. I thought Scales was incredible. I honestly do. Look, it's another argument to see if he's good enough for Europe. We'll get to that when we get the European games. But for Scotland, I think he's took his chance. I really do. I thought he was brilliant today, like so many players. But again, I come back to why we've won. It's an identity of how to play the game. We just don't have one, and Celtic are so far down the line. That's why there's a massive gap between the two teams.
Aye, Kenny, I thought Scales defended brilliantly today. The aerial battles with Dessers, they were going long up to him a lot. Scales was so strong in there. I thought his recovery tackling was very good. I thought he defended well all afternoon. A couple of nervy moments in the ball early doors, but that was everybody. Carter Vickers was actually probably worse with those nervy moments in the ball early doors. But in terms of the second half, much stronger bench today with the new signings on it. Engels on the bench, McCowan on the bench, and all of a sudden you see it much stronger. Alex Faye there as well, and we saw debuts for Engels and for McCowan. What do you make of their impact in the game?
It was nice to see Engels for half an hour. I thought we may have brought him on a bit prematurely because Bernardo was so pivotal and there was half an hour to go with a 2-0 lead. I thought maybe give Bernardo another 10-15 minutes, but he looked a classy player, Engels. He didn't really have a moment in the game where you thought he's cut someone open, but you can tell just by his body language and the way he moves around the pitch that he's a Rodgers type player. He was a bit like sort of Hatate, looked really fluid, but I was more taken by McGowan. I mean, McGowan's an unfashionable signing, someone that clearly has been brought up supporting the club. I do think that makes a difference. That might sound like a bit of a cheap thing. I don't think it is. I think it matters. It means that you're going to get 110% out of him. It doesn't matter if you're sending him up to Dingwall and the Hailstones in January. He's brought up with that. He understands that. And he looked so comfortable when he came on that pitch there. A really seamless buy for £1 million. When we went in 2-0 at half time, what was most rewarding to me was looking out at the subs warming up and thinking that bench cost us 30 million quid. I've been following Celtic my whole life. I'm 44 years old. We've never had a bench that's cost us anywhere near £30 million. We're in a position now of strength whereby Rodgers, if we can put our foot on the gas and let Brendan Rodgers work with those players to make a mark in Europe, we could be in a position whereby even under Postecoglou, we never quite got there in Europe. I just sense now that we're on the cusp of moving into an echelon of football that could really reward the fans back in Europe that we've missed. And Brendan's not going anywhere anytime soon. I believe he came back in part because he tried to try and make amends for how he left the first time. And in his very opening interview, he said, "I'm going nowhere for 3 years. If you want me here, the only way I won't be here in 3 years is if you get rid of me. We're not going to get rid of anywhere near getting rid of him on the strength of what we've saw so far this season." So he's here for a couple of years. We've got young, hungry players worth a lot of money on long-term contracts here for at least a couple of years. We're in a position where we can go on and really move the club up a level. And for me, that was the most rewarding thing about looking at the subs coming on today. Because they're going to get the best out of Bernardo because he's got £11 million Bundesliga breathing down his neck. They're going to get the best out of Scales because he's got a £6 million English Premier League player breathing down his neck. It's no coincidence they played their 2 best games in a Celtic jersey today.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when you invest money.
Aye, that competition's so important. Callum, you mentioned how precarious a 2-0 lead can be. The next goal in the game was so important, but I want to highlight Daizen Maeda again because it's him coming from the left-hand side over to the right wing, harassing Rangers, winning the ball back, and it comes into McGregor, who obviously moves inside. Lovely strike, takes a nick off, I don't know if it's Sterling in the middle of the park frame, takes a nick just by Butland into the top corner. It's absolute pandemonium, but that doesn't happen again without that intensity and the work rate of Daizen Maeda.
So before these games, the night before, I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but you get the pre-jitters, you feel a bit nervous, regardless. I know that phrase of form goes out the window, but in reality, it actually doesn't. The form doesn't go out the window. For so many years now, we've had great form and we seem to win these games, and that's what happens. But last night I was sitting in bed watching Match of the Day, and I watched Everton, and Everton were 2-0 up on the 87th minute and lost 3-2 to Bournemouth. So I'm sitting in the stadium today going 2-0 up, and I'm going, don't give me a Bournemouth, please don't. Just give me a third goal and the game's gone. Look, I'm a massive believer in body language. See, after the first goal, Rangers chucked it. They looked dejected. The players, hands on their knees, looking down, not talking to each other. I'm a big believer in body language. Can make you actually go, do you know what? If we've planned to go 1-0 down, fine. We've planned that. It's a hard venue. Let's try and go on now. That's what we've planned for. Rangers almost crumbled. But credit to Celtic, because that's not me saying taking it away from Celtic were hounding, and you talk about Daizen Maeda. My God, what an icon of the club. Honestly, because when I grow older, I'll think of Daizen. He's not technically gifted, but he's the hardest worker I've ever seen at any football club that I've watched in football. Name me a player that works harder than him. He's incredible. You spoke, he's left wing, but he's busting over to the right side to annoy, I think was it McCausland? I think it might have been McCausland out that side maybe. I'll need to look it back, but I think it was maybe McCausland, and it almost is a ricochet, comes back to him, he gives it to McGregor, and then I've seen a picture of where McGregor picks the ball up from. He's 35 yards from goal. He picks the ball, ends up kids on to shoot, he feints to shoot, sorry. He then gets by, I don't know if it might be Barron he gets by, or maybe it was Sterling, and then he just opens it up. It does take a deflection, but McGregor's done it. His 2 last goals have been kind of similar. And honestly, I couldn't be more happy, because I just hope Campbell was watching. I hope he was. I really do. I'm going to be that bitter, I will, because he ran his mouth up here. He ran his mouth, and I hope he was watching. He thought he could get the better of Callum McGregor. The cheek to even think that you're in the same league. You're in League One now. That's the reality for Blackburn Rovers. That's the difference here. Callum McGregor steps up. It's what a captain does. He's another icon in the club that will go down in history. Just honestly, McGregor's such a good player that he makes the game look so simple. And I'm going to be as fair as possible, because Rangers are trying to get, and Sterling on him, Diamandi on him, Barron on him. Barron's the new boy for Aberdeen. He'll be able to get him. He's getting legs now. He didn't have legs last year. Where were the legs today? They were in McGregor. And McGregor just, it's quality, mate. It's what quality does, and honestly, it's a great finish. And at that point, I thought, go and get more. But as long as you don't concede, we've not conceded 1 goal yet in the league, only the one at Hibs in the Cup. But honestly, I'll find it difficult for who's going to score against us right now, because I think we're playing unbelievable. It feels a little bit 2016, the Invincible. Almost feels like we're quite untouchable, and who's really going to get at us? Our biggest challenges are Aberdeen, whether you like it or not. It's the reality right now. They're 5 points clear and they're level with us.
Just on Daizen. Daizen's dominating these. He's dominating these fixtures. They must wake up shaking in a corner, thinking about him. Brendan Rodgers has got a lot more out of Daizen Maeda in the last 12 months. He's changed his game a bit. Daizen, before Brendan Rodgers came in, he had all of that energy, all of that closing down, but he was erratic. There was many times where your head in your hands because Maeda's blown it over the bar or he's missed a sitter. Rodgers has simplified his game. He's taken the chaos out of his game. he's much more clinical now. Look at his double against Hibs. He's calmer. He's making, when he gets out wide, he's not trying to do anything too creative. He's just getting the ball in quick. And he's become such a pivotal player for us now. He's running these fixtures, and I do believe Brendan Rodgers has had a big impact on his ability as a player. He's irreplaceable for Celtic.
Oh, he's a huge player for us, especially in these games. I think after that third goal, Kenny, towards the last 5-10 minutes, I think we maybe did start to tire just a wee bit. I think Johnston and Taylor, who'd put so much running and so much work in, just turned over the ball a couple of times, and Rangers did have a couple of chances. And eventually, Kasper Schmeichel had one or two saves to make from Dessers early in the game, but really he could have threw his hat on them. He had to make a good save for Tavernier at the back post, and there's a ball that drops to McCausland at the back post, and I thought, goal. I mean, he's like 5 or 6 yards out. He thinks a certain goal, but Schmeichel's it, absolutely smothered it, makes a brilliant save. And again, the thing that strikes me about he's so calm every time he gets the ball back. He stays relaxed, he finds a Celtic player, he's willing to play more risky passes than we've been used to the goalkeeper when Joe Hart was there. I think he's been brilliant so far, Kasper Schmeichel, and you've got so much trust in him back there.
I can see him getting hooked in on the club. Look at Joe Hart today, right? The way he's taking a half-time draw, there's clips of him. You know, he's almost on the park, right? He's at the stadium. Schmeichel might not be quite as gregarious a person as Joe Hart, but he's a big character, and he's never played in a club like this. He played for Leicester, who have got, with the best will in the world, 25,000 fans that, you know, are relatively unimpassioned. This is quite a change, even though he's almost 38 years of age. This is unique for him in his career, and he seems to be loving it. The way he's engaging with the fans, but he's not just here for some sort of swan song. His contribution is already very impactful. He's not letting a goal domestically. He's had very little to do, let's be fair. But he was so professional. Had he letting a goal at the end there, it was never going to influence the result. But the clean sheet mattered to him. You could tell that the clean sheet mattered to him, and he stood up with some quality saves. There was a moment, sort of midway through the first half, maybe I think we were 1-0 up, where he walked up to near the centre circle when the ball was out. He dragged in Carter Vickers and he dragged in Scales. I don't know what he was saying to them, but he was giving them real instruction. And Carter Vickers and Scales were listening to him like a father, you could sense. Even someone like Carter Vickers, who knows his way around the game inside out in Scotland, was listening to Schmeichel intently. And that type of leadership and that type of experience, you just can't buy. He's had a long, successful career, Kasper Schmeichel, and we're going to get the real fruits of it right at the end of it. I thought he was excellent today, and I'm excited to what he can bring in the Champions League, because he won't be faced by the big lights of the Champions League. He's going to relish it, and I'm looking for he's a great signing, Kasper Schmeichel.
Callum, 12 goals scored, none conceded. So important to get that win today, not just in terms of the context of the derby and the bragging rights and everything that goes with that, but also just keeping the momentum going. And I feel like this season we're starting to see the shoots of a proper Celtic team, a proper Brendan Rodgers team. I think you've talked about identity a lot. Kenny's talked about Brendan Rodgers' influence on some of the players and how we're set up, how well we're playing. It's just so important to keep that going, and as Kenny touched on earlier, hopefully we can build on that now, and we can go and make some sort of impact in Europe, and we can take this good momentum forward now after the international break.
Europe's the acid test for us. It's where we want to be and competing and trying to get to that 24th spot. That would be the dream. To have European football into February, March would be brilliant. Look, it's going to be tough. People might say that we don't have giants in our team, but I mean, we've got the Atalanta Europa League winners, Dortmund are Champions League finalists. We've got two teams that were in the Conference League, dead deep. So there is still hard games. Leipzig have just beat Leverkusen, first time in over a year that Leverkusen have lost a game in the Bundesliga, and Leipzig were the team. So look, it's still going to be difficult. But I come back to today's game. Look at the two differences, right, between the managers here. So when I was last on, it was the manager was just in the door, like the Rangers manager was just in the door, and we were a bit rocky. I remember doing the video, Hearts beat us 2-0 at Parkhead, and
you were wanting them out.
Aye, I remember me and you, we get Twitter memes everywhere, right? And I thought, do you know what? It'll bite you back. It will bite you back. And I remember it, so I enjoyed that last season when it came in. Oh, I enjoyed it very much. But into this season, look at the managers. Tell me who Clermont's improved at that team. Hold on, I'll give you Rodgers. James Forrest, 500 appearances today. legend of the football club. He's only one trophy now behind of being the all-time most decorated player in Celtic's history. That's what he is. Look how good he's got. He's ageing. I think he's 32, 33 maybe, and he's getting better with age because Rodgers is getting the best out of him. Look at Liam Scales. Did Rodgers not say that he was the most improved player he's ever seen, the transformation of where he's came from to where he is now? McGregor, he's now scoring goals, adding that to his game. Rodgers is adding that to individual players. Paulo Bernardo, we lost our best player this window. Did Rangers? Did they lose their best player? No. We lost ours, yet we can still go and beat them 3-0. There's a model. Again, going to sound boring, there's an identity. We know how we're working, and that's how the club's run. So Europe's another test. Is Skills good enough? Who knows? We'll talk about that when it comes to it. Before today, there was a real belief between fans, players, staff, club, everybody that Celtic were going to win today. There wasn't anybody that Rangers could throw at us. And the biggest point I could make is, imagine Celtic going into a game and saying, stick 3 midfielders on one of their players. Imagine how embarrassing that is, because Rangers just stuck 3 players on McGregor and still lost 3-0. Honestly, I'd be getting my season ticket back if I was one of them. It's madness. The reality is, Celtic are miles ahead. We're the Bayern Munichs and they're the Borussia Dortmunds of the world. They might win an odd game here and there. They might win a league here and there. But Celtic run this country and they have for a long time. And my God, it's going to keep going for a long time. That's how I see it.
I think last season, when Rodgers came in, it was awkward, wasn't it? A lot of the fans were split. Postecoglou just walked out. A colossus of a man had left a team. I think, personally, I think we underestimated the complexity of that. And that played out a lot in the first. The team were toiling. I think it was a byproduct of just how difficult a set of circumstances that is. We won the treble, we thought we'll win another treble. In retrospect, it wasn't that simple. Now we're seeing the purity of Rodgers having longevity with the side, having a clean summer to work with them. And you're seeing the fruits of his brain and his understanding of the game. And it just leaves me so excited about what could happen for the rest of the season.
Yeah, as usual, we're going to finish on man of the match. Callum McGregor got the sponsor in the stadium. There was so many contenders. Who is it for you?
I mean, I think on paper you should probably give it to Callum. You should probably give it to Daizen. I would give it to Bernardo just because Bernardo's still a relatively young man. It can't be easy to watch. If you're Paulo Bernardo and you've just committed your future to Celtic and you see them break their record transfer fee with someone directly coming in to take his position, that's pretty difficult. He would have known going to his bed last night, if I don't put in a strong shift tomorrow, I might be out the team indefinitely. But he's rose to the occasion. He was giving them hell for that first hour of that game. And he's not just harrying them, he's playing with quality in his feet. So I would give it to Bernardo.
Callum?
I'm just watching the highlights on the screen behind. I'm just watching Carter Vickers just bully Dessers and I enjoy it so much. I actually do. I take so much pleasure for just seeing him absolutely destroy him. Look, there's so many players. I said Paulo Bernardo in the stadium to somebody that sits next to me, but I'll go somebody different. Paulo Bernardo's brilliant. And Kenny talks about being in bed last night and worrying, going, I need to perform at the highest level, or Engels is taking my spot. 11 million. The reality is, Engels probably will take his spot because he can't spend that money and not play him. So he's going to need to fit in somewhere. So that's the reality. But Bernardo showed how good he was. I thought he was incredible. Again, Scales, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But for me, Callum McGregor, outstanding. Imagine going into that game having all the talk about how do you stop McGregor. So that's what it is in Scotland. Everyone goes, but how do you stop the main man ticking? They lost O'Reilly. I don't care. It's Callum McGregor. If you lose Callum McGregor, Celtic would really struggle. He's the one that ticks this team. O'Reilly was fantastic, but it's everything works through McGregor, and we've seen that today. Paulo Bernardo comes in, McGregor's ticking it. The side that you don't see in McGregor is when the camera's not on him, is when Tierney's trying to break and he pulls him back. The smart side of the game, he reads the game brilliantly. The fact that he scored a goal, he bullied the 3 midfielders. Give me Sterling all day, give me Diamandi, give me Conor Barron. Any one of them are nowhere near Callum McGregor's level. And look, I'm trying to be as respectful and professional as I can, but all 3 of them are pish compared to Callum McGregor. That's the reality. I'm sorry, it is. That's where I'm at. They're not good enough, and that's it. And look, I'd love to be going to the West End right now because I think they'll be saying the same thing. They're not good enough, and that's the reality, mate. McGregor for me, outstanding. Makes the small things and the easy things look simple, but by God, they're tough, and that's why he's man of the match.
That's it for the post-match pint here at Malone's Bar. Daizen Maeda. I already done it at post-match on the full-time reaction, but my man of the match is Daizen Maeda. You can watch it on the full-time reaction. Thank you for watching the post-match pint here from Malone's. Wherever you're watching this video around the world tonight, enjoy your evening. We're certainly going to enjoy ours. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you very soon on the hoops.